Welcome to TIA Trainings. My name is Tia. I'm your facilitator, your assessor. So today we are going to be doing the IQC procedure. So we are going to be using the serums to test if our test kits are working well. So this is our serums. We have negative and a positive serum. So this is basically just to indicate that this is our positive client, our negative client. If our positive client comes to the bus, and then we know that these kids should be able to test the client positive. And if our negative client comes to where we are testing, this kids should be able to indicate that this client is negative. So we have to store them in the refrigerator as soon as we open, between 2 to 8 degrees. But if it's closed, we received everything is still sealed, we're not using it, we keep it refrigerated, -2 temperature. So we must always be careful of the temperature when we keep this so that we get accurate results. So for our kids, we're going to be using Toyo and first response. I've just opened it, but when you open the kits, obviously you need to check if it's still properly sealed, if the expiry is not expired 2023 May, and then you also need to check if the lot number is there, everything is there properly sealed. So this is our 2 test kits for first response, our 2 test kits for Toyo. So basically other areas are using airborne. So it can be airborne, but your confirmatory will be first response. So the difference with this procedure, we are checking if these kits are going to give us the intended results. If a client who is HIV positive can test positive, if a client who is HIV negative can test negative. So if the kits give us a different reading, it means that now our kits are not working well, or we have a challenge with the serums. So what we do, we are going to label the kits. This should be our negative, our positive, our negative kits. So what we are going to do, we are going to take our negative serum. This is our negative client who is coming to the bus. We use the pipette. So with the pipette, can be tricky to use it, but what you do, you squeeze out the air, and then immediately when you come into contact with the serums, you just release a bit, and then you see. So it's going to be 1 drop, and then it's also going to be 1 drop. So this is basically a negative serum. 1 drop, 1 drop, and then when you're discarding it, it goes to the medical bin, red plastic, and then we close it. So we're going to use a buffer for each kit. So it's 1 drop, 1 drop, but you'll be guided by the manufacturer. So it's going to be 1 drop for first response, and it's going to be 1 drop again for your Toyo kits. Okay. So we are going to set the timer, because you should understand your kit. How long does it take for your kit to read? So this one, Toyo, takes 15 minutes. First response also takes 15 minutes, but airborne takes 10 minutes. So you must be mindful of which test are you using. So for these 2 tests, it's 15 minutes. So we have set our timer to also 15 minutes. So it means that when you're doing IQC, you also need to have a second timer for your second test. Let me just correct this. Yeah. So now we are going to do the positive one. We are guessing that our positive clients will be visiting us in our testing site. Remember, you expel the air, and then it also needs to be 1 drop, and then 1 drop. If there's anything remaining, you don't have to waste it. You can just still take it back. If there's anything remaining, because it was not in contact with the clients. So we're going to put this back, and what we are going to do, we are going to use the same buffer. It's going to be 1 drop, first response buffer. You put it there, and then 1 drop is going to be 1 drop for Toyo. So we should be mindful that when we are doing the procedure, we are done with the serums now. We can put the serums away in the refrigerator. So that is to ensure that we are maintaining the temperature. We don't have to finish the whole procedure with all the serums and everything here, because the temperature will be out. So now when we are busy waiting for our results, and then we are going to now go to our records. So our records, we can use either this is a printed document. It's an independent quality control record sheet. So we can use this sheet, or in the same register that we are using in our facility, we can utilize the back edge. At the back of the book, we also have the space where we can record our IQC. So it's basically the same document. It's just that this is the same document with this one. But for easy keeping of those records, you can decide either you use the book or you use it depends on your facility. what your facility prefers, but the same records will also have them in the HTS register. And in the HTS register is good because you'll be sure, and everyone will be sure, that all the clients that are tested here, they were tested by the test kits that were in good condition. So with the records, what is important, you need to have 2 different records for the kids. One for your Toyo or your Avon, and then another one for your first response. So here we have one for first response. Name of the kit, you write it, the facility name, this is a chemist private clinic, and then you need to write the date, the lot number. The lot number, we're going to get it from the kit. So because this one is for first response, lot number and batch number is basically one thing. So others will write lot, others will write batch, that's one thing. So that number is important that you put it there. Expiry date, this is for the kit. So now we are going to negative and positive control. So because our controls are on the refrigerator, when you are done here, you can still even test. You also need to check the lot number on the negative control, negative serum, and also on the positive serums. And when we are done with the test, you have entered this information, you need to check the IQC results after 15 minutes. So what happens here is that you also note the open dates. The open date will not change. So our serums, I think we opened them in January, so the date will still be the same until you open a new kit. So now we assume the 15 minutes has lapsed, and now we have to come and check the results. You can come and check the results. So for Toyo, we are assuming the 15 minutes has lapsed. So this is a positive result. Yeah, so our Toyo test kit is working well. If a positive client come to our site, they're going to test positive, so it's working well. And then for first response, this one reads a bit far much late, but you can see that it's also having 2 lines. It's also a positive result. So we must note here on the kit, it can be controlled T1, T2. So it's type 1 and type 2. We have talked about it. We have covered it on the syllabus. So it means our first response for positive is working well. And for negative, our kit is negative. So Toyo test kit is working well. And then also first response is negative. So now we are confident that our kits are working well. So if a client comes and tests HIV positive, our client is basically HIV positive. Thank you so much. So this is the IQC procedure.